Rev up your engines!
Peter Lamore says, when the heck happened to the 5-speed manual tranny? I want to buy a new car with a manual 5-speed. I can't find anyone. Well, two things happened. One, people, especially in North America, got lazier and lazier, and they all want to drive automatic, so they don't want to shift. And the other thing is, they have modern transmissions designed so that you can actually get better gas mileage in an automatic transmission than you can in a standard transmission. And in the case of, say, the new 10-speed that they have in the Mustang, you can actually have better acceleration and better gas mileage because the computer can shift it better than you can. Those are, of course, have variable setups on them. You can put them on a drag race setup where it'll go like mad. Of course, you won't get good gas mileage then. Or you can put it on the economy mode where it'll get much better gas mileage. Or you can put it on whatever mode you want. So you can go from full power to better gas mileage by pushing whatever button you want. But the computer can actually shift better than any human. Let's face it, the computers are faster than we are at making decisions. So if you put it in race mode, it's going to shift it better than you can. Believe me, I've driven them, and it does shift better than I can shift. You know, you don't have the fun of actually doing it yourself, but it is more efficient. That's why they really are going to be going extinct probably as time goes on. Your by Merengue 25 says, Scotty, 04 Nissan Titan is a good truck, 5.6 liter. Okay, it's got the V8 engine. They're decent trucks. Now, they're nowhere near as good as Toyotas and Fords, but they can be decent pickup trucks. They're not fantastic, but they're not horrible. I wouldn't buy a new one, you're overpaying. And they're always playing around with crap too. I mean, the other year they had to think, oh, now we've got the Cummins diesel engines. But then I just read in 2020, they're not going to be using the Cummins diesel engines in it anymore. So, you know, they're always changing their minds about what they're doing. But you can get a used one cheap enough. Hey, it could be a decent knock-around car. Realize you're never going to get a good Toyota truck used cheap because everybody knows they're worth money. So one of those might still have a lot of life, and you can generally get them pretty cheap used. Nitish Sharma says, hi, Scotty, do you think engine replacement is a good idea for a high-mileage car? The body's perfectly fine. Depends on where you're getting your engines from and what kind of vehicle you're working on. Let's say you got old Toyota Corolla. Sure, I'll get one of those Japanese engines, put one in, it can run forever. But let's say you got an old Chrysler and the engine goes out. Well, where are you going to get a good engine from? The ones in the junkyard are generally all worn out crap too, and rebuilding them is relatively complex. A lot of guys do crappy jobs rebuilding them, so it's, can you get a good used engine? If you can, go right ahead. Or if you got like an old classic car, American V8, you can get brand new engines built on those all the time, so go right ahead. But you have to figure out what the vehicle is, where you're going to get an engine from, what kind of quality you're getting, because there's a big difference in quality of all the different rebuilders and all the manufacturers and all the car models themselves. Lily Polo says, Scotty, should I buy a new Volkswagen Golf Electric for $30,000 Canadian? Well, I wouldn't because you live in Canada. And I read about a guy in Canada who had an electric car in Montreal. And he found out that it's so cold there in the winter that he was losing 30 to 40% of the charge right off the bat. So let's say if the range was 120 miles, you were knocking 30 to 40% off that right from the bat because it was so cold outside. So your range is going to be limited. And paying that kind of money for a Volkswagen, one, is a mistake. If you really want an electric car, do what I advised in a video a little while back, is they have crappy resale value. Buy a used one. You can probably pick them up for less than half of that with 15, 20,000 miles on them. And the battery packs last a lot longer than that. Why waste your money on a new one? You're getting all that money on a brand new car that's down the toilet, and electric cars don't wear like mechanical cars. They hardly have any moving parts. So really think about it in cold Canada, because it may strand you in the winter quite a few times with lots of power in the cold. Electric batteries work the worst in cold weather. And Nathan H says, I got an 01 Toyota Solara. It squeals on startup with AC on. What should I look at first? Well, if it only does it with the AC on, odds are the AC belt is wearing. Just put another one on. It's not that big of a deal. Squeal on startup, it's usually the belt is either worn, it's loose, or it's got a few cracks or something in it. And that thing's what, 19 years old? I would just change the belt to start out with. Then you don't have to think about it. If it squeals after that, then that could be the compressor going out, could be a bearings going on, idler pulley, a lot of things could be wrong. But normally that just means it needs a new fan belt. And if it's been on there for more than 5, 6, 7 years, just change that first, because it's an easy thing to do and that could solve all your problems. And if it's really old and cracked, it's time to do it now. You don't want to get stranded somewhere. Just do it right away. It's an easy job on an old vehicle like that. Alexander Strice says, Factor 4 synthetic wax kit. Factor 4 synthetic wax kit. Says it lasts for 3 years. Thoughts? That's a bunch of nonsense. All that stuff's a bunch of nonsense. It's not going to last for 3 years. Just waxing stuff on and all this nano ceramic. Now, I used that orange one. That's not a wax, but a polish. And it says on it, it lasts for a year. Bunch of hoo-ha. I still wax the cars. Well, it's not a wax, it's a polish, but it does the same type of thing. I still use it 4 times a year, once every season, so I don't forget. None of them last forever. None of them are going to even last 3 years. Just our atmosphere's got too much pollution in it. There's too much UV lights, and you're not going to chance that and ruining your paint, and your car will never look the same once it's repainted. Believe me, I never see the repaints last as long. So you want to take care of the original paint, and it might be a good system. I've never seen that personal one, but nothing's going to last 3 years. That's a bunch of bunk. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.